new set of sticker wet weather tyres. So those tyres are going to have the best potential. That Honda we know is quick. It ended up, where did they end up? In 8th. So that's going to be a car that will challenge it because simply they put on a brand new set of wet weather tyres. Other teams may well have put on a set of wet weather tyres that have done a lap or two. That doesn't help you stall up trying to get out of the pit lane. What's happening? Is something not right?
Eating into the time allowed.
Yeah. Then he's got to fire up, so there we go. Rock and roll. Oh, done it again! He'll fail his driving test. That's it. Spin the rear wheels. Not really meant to spin the rear wheels, but in the circuit with the clutch. Sometimes the clutch in these are quite sharp. So down to the BMW.
Now, what Sheldon van der Linde did in this car in the wet at the end of Q2 was pretty impressive, so he could be the real gun out of this.
Absolutely. He knows the circuit. He knows what Kyalami does when the track has been wet as it is now, but it will gradually develop a line, whether that will be a drying line or just a line that is getting drier, up the hill, up into Liaco. So he's got clear track behind him. He's got clear track ahead of him. Only 10 cars going to be on track, and there's still, what, 3 of them at least up on the air jacks, waiting for them up on air jacks. Only 6 cars on track right now.
So there is van der Linde, the number of cars heading out of the circuit increasing all the time. Remember what I said, if you pit and touch the car, you lose your times to that point. So let's say that you've gone second, you come in, you make a tweak, you go back out and you go off the road, tough. You've lost your time. You've got to rely on what you do in that second element. So here is van der Linde, who is about to start a flying lap. And you've got to say, conditions, although they are far from ideal, are a lot better than we had a while ago.
They are. It is turn 16, actually. That it was, if any of the corners, that might be the problem corner. There was rain here Wednesday, which was horrendous. And in fact, that part of the racetrack was flooded because quite simply the drainage wasn't able to deal with the deluge when it fell. So there's still a residue of standing water, but it's a low-speed corner, so it's not going to cause any aquaplaning per se. The quickest corner on the racetrack is Sunset. There are riverlets running across it diagonally. So that's the one corner where everybody will be maybe a little bit more diligent. Coming out of barbecue, that's effectively nail the throttle, let ABS do its job, or that traction control do its job. Here we are coming into Sunset. Watch for those rivulets running diagonally across, particularly there you can see just at the exit. So those could catch you out if you're just being a little bit too ambitious.
Well, we saw Nick Tandy caught out here, didn't we, at Clubhouse in Q3. Sheldon van der Linde, to say being cautious is understandable because he does not want to bin it. He wants to get a banker lap in first and then see how much more he can push. So Sheldon van der Linde heads here through the S's and now is about to make the climb up towards Liaco.
Yeah, so he is, I suspect, the first driver to set a lap that's going to have any meaning whatsoever, and whether that will be eclipsed, improved upon, or will stand will be all dependent on what happens over these remaining 11 minutes and 10 seconds. So down the hill, down the mine shaft, into this quick left-hand corner in these conditions, probably just about drivable now into the revision. That's around turn 13, then the flick back to the left 14, and quite a bit of elevation change. We don't quite see it on the camera. Then this is the corner here, turn 15, that's been catching out many drivers running that curve and running wide. Now back again to final turn into turn 16. This will be the second recorded lap. Christopher Hauser has done one lap already, 156.2.
Josh Burden has done a 56.7 and van der Linde goes top on a 155.716. Raffaele Marciello quicker than that though, 155.148. So there is the car that is now going to be on provisional pole position. Jake Dennis has gone out in the Aston Martin. And number 12, Matt Campbell, is still in the pit lane, yet to go.
Well, maybe they're just deciding we're going to let the track go. Whoa! Raffaele, look at that. Coming up into barbecue, and he is giving the Mercedes no mercy at all. I mean, that car has been driven absolutely on the limit of its grip. He's got a good balance in the car. He can take liberties. Just needs to be a little bit wary coming through Sunset. Those rivulets again running the curb, but he's got the car straight at the point when he hit the curb. Here was the corner. Nick Tandy's got his name written all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marciello, absolute best, set to
Magic.
one. It's a joy to watch. The track is drying, which takes it from wet to greasy before you get to dry. He's hustling on then now as the car accelerates up through the S's, heading towards Learcop. And as the Mercedes accelerates up the hill, over the brow, into the braking zone now. We've got Van der Linde also improving in Sector 1, but not to the same extent that Marciello is, so he's still looking good.
Yeah, I mean, Marciello fastest overall Sector 1 by 3/10 there. You can see the long faces. I don't know why they're long, but there's just out of concern for Raffaele, fastest by over half a second now in Sector 2. So coming down into these final turns and coming up to complete the lap, still Marciello in the 999 Mercedes, who is overall quickest, but that can change quite simply as the cars come across to complete laps.
So it is Marciello, Van der Linde, Baguette. No, it's not. Christopher Haase goes second, possibly because of the conditions. The Audi looking like it's back at the races here. We have got 8 minutes and change on the clock here. Here comes Marciello over the timing line up through the gear. Sheldon Van der Linde goes quickest by 27 thousandths. Marciello goes quickest by 9/10 of a second.
I'm not surprised because he has got confidence and he's got the car under him. Remember, this car was being worked on until 3 o'clock this morning because it had been binned by Maro Engel. He didn't intend to do it, but he did a lot of damage to the car. It's even got a door which is not the same colour as the other door.
Number 30, which is Bertrand Baguette, 5th fastest then, so he's done an absolute best Sector 1, a personal best Sector 2. It's another car that makes a good noise, the Honda as well, and so this Yas Motorsport car heading up now through Crocodile, heading towards Cheetah, and down towards the end of the lap. This is Ingwe to turn 16, 8 minutes on the clock, looks a little nervous as he tries to slow it down, hustles it through the corner. Where is this lap going to put him? It's Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Nissan, Honda 5 for the moment. He will break the beam and go second quickest.
Yeah, just that last entry into turn 16, slightly overran it under brakes, couldn't get the car slowed down to get him the good drive off turn 16. Nevertheless, provisional front row of the grid for Bertrand Baguette in the Honda.
So Bertrand Baguette up to the front of the grid. No soggy bread here, although he runs wide there, coming towards us. What about the Audi hopes in all of this? Christopher Haase is currently 4th, and he's done an absolute best. Middle sector, he's way off the road coming out of Cheetah. But can Christopher Haase recover from that? He'll have dirty tyres. He fights the car out of turn 16. He rides the curb up through the gears, heading towards the timing line. He's gone 5th now because he's just been bettered by Nick Tandy, but he fights back to go quickest of all. Audi tops the times.
And stunning driving. He got way off track, but he got the car. The momentum was still carrying him forward in spite of running wide, and he had to get the car slowed down then to get through turn 16. Outstanding effort indeed by Christopher Haase. Porsche running the dirt. Nick Tandy, well, let's hope he doesn't get caught out by that corner. That's the clubhouse corner where he was caught out in the last qualifying session. Let's have the red flag. So it's just on the edge in the middle of sunset. Slows it down on wet weather tyres, gets her in hard on the throttle, driving the Porsche all the way on the limiter, hitting the limiter in 4th gear.
Personal best Sector 1, but not an absolute best. So you can still get pole by personals rather than absolutes if you string it together well enough. Comes now up towards Learcop. And Nick Tandy's middle sector will be evinced in a moment, because when he comes down the hill towards Mineshaft, he will go through the timing beam at the end of Sector 2. We've got Maxi Goods up to 6th in Mercedes number 10. And we've got Matt Campbell out on the circuit now in the green number 12 dynamic Porsche, but yet to do a lap time. It's another personal best from Quick Nick.
Yeah, it's 3/10 down, so that's going to see him maybe get onto the back of. He locks up, gets it all wrong, and that's blown the lap for Nick Tandy. He could have got himself up into maybe the top 4. He's not going to make it on this particular lap. He's still got another 5 minutes or so remaining to make up time. Go and do it all again, Nick.
Here he comes then, out of turn 16, up the curb on the inside, pushes the car way wide on the outside. Got to be careful on those painted, wet, slippy curbs as well. He breaks the beam, and where does he go to? Up to 3rd, to improve by 1 place. And now Christopher Haase has done another absolute best in the middle sector. So the Audi that is already the fastest is coming across the timing line. That lap is a 53.550. He lost out in Sector 3, but he's gone quicker still.
And again, by over half a second, Raffaele Marciello, 2nd place. And where is Raffaele Marciello? Has he got an answer for Christopher Haase, who is doing an outstanding, even with his pink racing boots, he's the quickest out there.
Marciello's done 2 personal bests, so He is certainly pushing, and Matt Campbell has gone 6th, so this is the car that is at the moment the slowest.
Nick Tandy, fastest, Sector 1 on this current lap.
Nick Tandy, absolute best, and a fresh set of wet tyres has gone on to number 76, so they've touched the car. The lap time that he's had, he has lost, so it's a start from here situation now for Jake Dennis. So you've got to be confident. Well, he's gone to 10th anyway, now he's got to fight up.
Yes, and he's got one effect. When you have 2 laps by the time he comes across start-finish line, the first of those flying laps on those wet weather tyres, he's moving the car around to get some side wall tyre temperature to try and get into the core of the tyre, so that when he gets to the exit of 16 he can nail the throttle on that V8 twin turbo Aston Martin and see if he can challenge for pole.
There's Christopher Haase in the background. He is the fastest. He's done another absolute best within Sector 1. Gets to the end of Sector 2. He is down by 67 thousandths of a second there. So he's lost a tiny fraction of time to the absolute best middle sector. He's way up the curb, coming down a Crocodile. What can he do now? To Cheetah he comes, and then down towards turn 16.
I mean, he's been under turn 15 every time he's had the car in the rear. Almost dirt tracking.
Yeah.
So will this see just a consolidation again? Look again out of 16, sliding the back of the car. So Dennis goes on to the lap as Haase comes across.
Right, Haase goes quicker in the final sector than anybody. That's the new best lap time, a 1:53.345. But Marciello here has done a personal and an absolute best. He's up the curb coming out of Cheetah. He's got one more corner to go. He has got to find 0.370 of a second to go to the top of the times. Can he do it in this last sector? Up through the gears, heading towards the timing line. Is this going to put the Mercedes onto pole position? No, it is not. It is a 53.914. He's 2/10 slower than his earlier best. And Nick Tandy, absolute best in Sector 1. Matt Campbell has gone up to 3rd. 2.5 minutes to go. Tandy is the new focus of attention.
And Jake Dennis, who has gone out on a new set of wet weather tyres, has got a personal best in Sector 1, but that's not going to be good enough. He needs to be purple to put that number 76 Aston Martin on pole position. Nick Tandy up the hill, out of the S's, up towards the top of the aircon. Tandy currently in 5th place, but he's got fastest overall Sector 1. Sector 2 will come to the end as he gets to the bottom of the man shaft, and we will know whether this is a time for Poulter for pole position or to make up the best of the rest.
The best middle sector is a 45.473, and Nick Tandy does a personal best, but not an absolute best middle sector. He is on the ragged edge. He's on the limit, no question about that. He's on the curb as well as he comes then through the Crocodile, up now towards Cheetah. And is this going to put him, first of all, onto the front of the grid, because he's on the 3rd row now. He's just been bettered by Bertrand Baguette and Richard Lietz. So Tandy currently 6th. One more corner to go, and less than a lap time left in the session. There's another lap there if he can do it, if he can wring anything else out of the car and the tyres. But first of all, we need to see where this lap puts him. It's going to put him up. It's going to put him to pole position. Nick Tandy does a 53.207. Tandy tops.
Much better control of the lap. Nick Tandy was pushing really hard, maybe overdriving. The consequence was you're making minute errors, sliding the car too much. Better control in this lap from the British driver, and he's got his reward with 59 seconds to go.
What else is going to happen? What else is going to change? Baguette up to 5th, Leeds up to 6th, up to 9th, Jake Dennis. So Jake actually not yet seeming to either get the best out of the tyre-car combination or the tyres up to temperature. And all of a sudden, with under a minute to go, it's gone a little calmer finally.
And Nick Tandy's still on it. He's just gone through the 1st sector, fastest again of anybody.
So a 1:53.2 is the best time. You can see how the track is dry, but it's now greasy more than wet. Could we get him into the high 52s? It's asking a lot, but Nick is up for the task, isn't he? He throws the car out of the S's way wide up the curb.
I mean, that's confidence in the car to drive it that edge over the tarmac onto the concrete sort of apron beside the racetrack. Now up at the top of the aircon, it's just throttle progression, not slam the throttle open at that part of the racetrack. You're still turning when you're getting on the power. Down the hill. Can't quite hear him, he's flat out through the man shaft, but it looks pretty quick to me.
2 absolute best, so he's going to go quicker, barring a mistake in the last sector. Is it going to be in the 52s? That might be asking too much, even of Nick Tandy, but it's looking good. He's up the curb through the Crocodile, he's into Cheetah, goes right, sets the car up for the last lap, turn 16, rides the curb on the outside. So far, so good. Brakes, turns in. onto the power now, drags it out the other side, rides the curb, all good, all good, all good. Flag at the ready. Is it going to be quicker still? Can he get into the 52s? Yes, he can. 152.825. He's quicker by over half a second.
And that was even better control of the lap than his previous provisional pole lap. Nick Tandy has got the circuit in the palm of his hands, or the tread of his Pirelli wet weather tyres, or whatever you want to say, and has dictated the pace of qualifying to score by 45 hundredths of a second from Christopher Haase, who was equally mighty. Raffaele Marciello has got to finish this lap. It may not be all over done and dusted, because he's been fastest overall in Sector 2. It's going to be close. He's a tenth. Going to be close.
Yeah, he's a tenth quicker than Tandy in that middle sector. But he was 39 thousandths down in the first one. So it's going to be a good last sector. He needs to be on the front row of the grid, of course. So third he is. Where will he finish? The flag's at the ready. The timing line is there. He goes third. Stays third, in fairness. 1:53.086. So it was a better lap time that kept him on the second row of the grid.
Yeah, and that is a surprise. I thought that lap from Marcello looked like it might be a threat to this driver, this car, this pairing. Nick Tandy, having blotted his copybook by putting the car into the tyre wall in Clubhouse, at the exit of Clubhouse, has redeemed his reputation, redeemed his pride. He's on pole position. He and his team are sitting looking good.
What an effort then, as there Mathieu Jaminet starts to celebrate. Dennis Olsen, the bespectacled Norwegian driver in the background. Excellent job done by Fricadelli Racing, but Nick Tandy, hats off. Nick Tandy tops the pole shootout then from Christopher Haase. Where did the Audi suddenly spring from, you may well ask? Raffaele Marciello, third ahead of Richard Lietz. Matt Campbell, fifth ahead of Sheldon van der Linde and Jake Dennis on his second set, new set of wets. Eighth, Bertrand Baguette. Ninth, Maxi Goetz. And Josh Burden in the Nissan, the car that topped qualifying, ends up 10th at the end of the shootout.
Nothing to say on that. That was an incredibly intense, competitive session in difficult circumstances for the entire field. And, you know, it's so easy to push that little bit too hard, and once you compromise a lap, then you might as well give the lap up and you have to go back again. So 15 minutes passes in a blink.
So looking at the order, Nick Tandy, 7th in qualifying, goes to pole. Christopher Haase, 9th, up to 2nd. Marciello, 5th, up to 3rd. Richard Lietz, 4th, stays 4th. Matt Campbell, 2nd, drops to 5th. Sheldon van der Linde, 10th, up to 6th. 7th, Jake Dennis, he was 3rd, so he drops. Then you've got Bertrand Baguette, 8th in qualifying, 8th in shootout. Maxi Goetz, 6th in qualifying, drops to 9th in the shootout. And Josh Burden, as I've been saying, goes from fastest down to 10th at the end of the shootout. So that is how it has all changed for the grid. And Nick Tandy rises to the occasion, and that was a job very well done indeed.
180!
Hits the bullseye, does the darts fanatic, Nick Tandy.
No, great effort. I mean, a superb effort by Nick Tandy. And all the hard work that the team had put into this car and preparing it, then the light damage to the right front, but he is delivered. And that's why he's in the seat of one of these, well, top 4 Porsche that are racing here this weekend. They're happy boys, they're happy boys.
As Dennis Olsen, Mathieu Jaminet arrives to congratulate him. So, try and eavesdrop. Apologies if you heard anything a tad colourful. But we'll hear from Nick Tandy then, the man that has set the fastest time in the pole shootout for Fricadelli Racing. Nick Tandy with Bruce Jones.
Nick Tandy, if I could have you just away from Dennis Olsen, who must be delighted with you, and Mathieu Jaminet. Nick, if I could have you swinging around after the photo. In huge demand. Here's a driver who, it says P0 on his hat, it should say P Hero. Nick Tandy, that was a session with more than a little bit of drama, and you did not once but twice 2 astonishing laps to be top of the charts.
Yeah, but it's these boys that you need to be talking to, because you know, it was their lap times at the start that got us through on the average. I was lucky that I managed to pull the car out of the gravel. We just got stuck under the barrier. There wasn't a lot of damage, but yeah, we made some adjustments after that. Luca and the boys did a good job getting the car turned around, and yeah, it's a good place to start. But of course, race day is tomorrow, so it's only the beginning.
But just talk us through the incident where you slid off. I know you must have been cursing in the car, but the conditions were changing all the time, and you just seemed to run out of grip.
Well, we were on the slick tyres, and obviously the rain was coming down quite hard, so I knew that it was kind of now or never. The thing was, the first sector was pretty dry, and I went through turn 6 and thought, okay, but then, of course, arrived at 7 and the rain was heavy. I hit the brake, and kind of that was it. Just tried to place it as nicely in the barrier as I could. I obviously knew we weren't doing a great deal of speed, but then was obviously worried that we were going to get stuck. Yeah, it's one of those things, but the car wasn't too badly damaged, just a bit of paint and a mirror, so she'll be ready for tomorrow.
Right, happy times for Fricadeli Racing Team. Don't go away just yet, because you've got a trophy to be awarded to you, the Pirelli Superhero Trophy. Nick, come with me. Nick, need you at the presentation. And the trophy is going to be handed across to you for all those efforts by Matteo Brago, the Pirelli Technical Racing Manager. And that was a trophy really, really well earned there, as you can fully imagine.
So rather surprised Nick Tandy, didn't expect a trophy for his efforts, but a modest man saying it was the efforts of his co-drivers that put them up there on the aggregate, but he delivered, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's what a good teammate says.
Absolutely.
They don't just grab the glory and say, oh yeah, I did a mega job. He is a team player. He's been a part of Porsche for many years now, and he understands being a part of a team. Matthew Zamenhof, Dennis Olsen, super teammates to have, and a great effort. But in fairness, it was Nick Tandy, when it mattered, got that pole lap, and well, they can't start any better than on pole position.
Very true indeed. So it's Dennis Olsen going for the championship out of those 3. Remember, I was talking about the Porsche drivers being split across different cars. Well, Dennis is the man that they are working for, really, in that car. Yes, they want to win the race, but they know that the main aim is to try and help him to take the title in 9 hours of racing that we look forward to next here at Kyalami tomorrow. And on what we've seen thus far, it's going to be an absolutely fascinating race. I still can't really offer you a potential winner other than just a list of all the pro class cars, because there are so many possibles.
I think it's an impossible task. I could stick a tail on a donkey and say any one of the top 10 or any of the top 15 could win this race. There will be elements and factors that will come into play, and I said the thing that will win this race is the least amount of time spent in the pit lane.
Nice touch from Wolfgang Land to come over and congratulate the pole drivers, the Audi team principal, former Porsche race champion himself, going back to the 944 Turbo Cup days, Wolfgang Land. Very successful racer himself. But as the GT teams then catch their breath and start to think ahead of tomorrow, Nick Tandy for Porsche it is then who tops the times at the end of this pole shootout. And for the Fricadeli Racing Team, which specialises really in the VLN and the Nürburgring 24 Hours, a job very well done indeed. So let's have a look at the highlights then of the pole shootout that began on a wet but drying circuit, with everybody knowing that they had to get a banker lap in, but that also the chances were that times would be able to be improved at the end. There weren't that many takers to begin with, however, so letting the opposition go out and try and sweep the circuit. Sheldon van der Linden was one such. He ended up 6th fastest at the end of the session. Maxi Buch and Mauro Engel looked on as Raffaele Marciello was the man behind the wheel of their sideways Gruppa M Mercedes, and ultimately would go third. He topped the times early, but it couldn't hang on in there as Audi and Porsche managed to conquer in that inter-German manufacturer battle. For Honda, Bertrand Baguette ending up 8th. It was a disappointing session in a sense, because early pace couldn't be maintained and the car fell back as others went out and went faster. One of the real heroes, though, was Christopher Haase, because he kept on pushing. And for a car that had looked decidedly pedestrian early on in the day during the pre-qualifying session, boom, it is on the front row of the grid. Checkered flag, though, Nick Tandy was the man that took the fastest lap time, did 2 laps in a row, the best lap of all being done at the very end of the session. And we look forward to the Kyalami 9 hours tomorrow.
Trophy
From Bruce Jones,
really well
John Watson and
there,
David Anderson. For now, it's goodbye.